I gotta mute myself. There we go. Ha ha ha. I have things. Things are hard. Uh, it's May of 2022. The Revenge of 2020, 2022. The sequel, sickening. The sickening continues. Probably. Hello, everyone. We're going to give a minute or two for people to, migrate in. It is, of course, a Sunday, so there's a chance that we'll have a decent crowd. It's only like 8 p.m. Universal time, so we might have some, UK and Europeans stop by. We might have more of the greater world nearby. I am not sure what time it is in Australia. I think it's like 0 o'clock in the morning. So we might not have any Aussies in, but I figure we'll have at least a few. Um, Again, more 4 a.m. I mean, yeah, maybe. I'm not sure. I didn't look at the codes and stuff. So let's see. Yeah, just gone. Yeah, see, 8 p.m. in the UK. At least I know that Pacific time to UK time is like an 8-hour shift or 7-hour shift, depending on when that daylight savings time is going on. Because let's do that. Um, so you know things, but I very rarely look outside of Universal time because reasons. It's really hard for me to keep more things in my head. I'll just be honest about it. Yes, I can read comments here. It is amazing. That is why we migrated to Switch over Facebook. Is Facebook kept giving many people issues with being able to comment for me to be able to pull their names for loot at the end of it. So we've come to Twitch in the hopes that more people will be able to use it. The Twitch app for phones sometimes still causes issues, but we find not as much as Facebook. All right. Now that we've given a small amount of time, a finite, limited amount of time to people showing up, we're going to go ahead and start with the obligatory recap. Why is my thing spinning on me? Apparently, I am just going to be slow today. Interesting. There might be small delays in video, I guess. Thank you, Twitch. Um, we're going to go ahead and start off with the recap of things going on. Of course, Aether Reserve 5, big news, just came out 5 days ago. Came out on the 10th-ish, 11th. Um, so, thank you, everyone. We did hit briefly 30 overall in the Kindle store, which was my second best release ever. So I do appreciate that from all of you fans helping perpetuate the greatness that is Aether's Revival into the foreseeable future. I understand. I will, of course, at some point then get around to uploading this onto YouTube, but it'll be up on Twitch for at least a couple of weeks. So AR5 was out. Let's see what else has gone on in the brief interim of what was that? The end of April. I know we had some audiobooks that came out, like AG8 audio came out, AR4 audio came out. Andy, I believe, is moving on to Lux Voice 3 audio. It's my next book with her, but it might be her next book, period. So that would be something also to look forward to. Of course, I am currently wearing Positively Irregular because our next series up is going to end up being um, Dungeon Walkers 3, and we will see where that is going. The sad news for Dungeon Walkers 3 is that there is going to end up being a narration change, and I'm just going to warn you guys out ahead of time. Um, Travis has to step away from the series. Apparently, he didn't realize I write harem. and Harem is kind of against brand for him as a narrator. So he did apologize profusely and then ask if he could step away from the series. And I'm not one to make people do things if they're uncomfortable with it. So I am talking with Mountaindale now to find out who we're gonna get to step in to take over narration of Dungeon Walkers. So that is slightly bad news because change of narration hurts a series. So not what I wanted with Dungeon Walkers. Um, Dungeon Walkers 3 though should be good. I'm still working through it. So hopefully you guys will all enjoy it. I'm still getting into it. Uh, so I'm not sure what the end is for Dungeon Walkers 3 at the moment, but I still have hope. Still have hope that Dungeon Walkers 3 does amazingly well and you guys enjoy it. Think that's pretty much it on book front of things talk about. Released, current, audiobooks covered. Yeah, okay. So I can come over here to the chat log now and see what's going on. JPez, I am well. I believe my team is fairly well. My editor is awesome as always, here to help correct my grammar and make sure I don't say things that I shouldn't say on Twitch. So, comments. Congratulations on the new book release. Well, thank you very much. Of course, that's all due to you guys enjoying them. So I really enjoy that. When is the essay due for the contest? Well, it depends which contest, because I mean, there's multi stages of it. There's the easy essay contest, which is just 50,000 words, and then of course it builds from there. I mean, it might be a bit much for the easy, but I figure, people got to strive for life. Oh, I should mention though, outside of that joke, that there is the I have been a full time writer for 4 year contest going on. Um, just finished wrapping up the Patreon for 5 years contest for my Patreon people. But there is currently a 4 year full time giveaway going on that you can find on Facebook on the fan page or on the Discord fan server that you guys can enter, which has mostly challenge coins. But there's also going to be a set series of books signed by me and then given out to a winner. And then there is also going to be a red shirt slash cameo slash reoccurring appearance slash I'm going to use your name in a book somewhere. Whether this means you're an abuser who gets shot, well, I can't say by Alvin anymore. That series is done. Whether you're an asshole who gets shot by Doc in Lux Voice, or you end up being like the archivist of the Academy archive, the chief archivist, I should say. Um, those are decisions that will be made as I need names. More than likely, since I am on Dungeon Walkers, you will end up slotted into Dungeon Walkers somewhere. I do have a number of not cameo appearances, but shards, named shards that have to be pulled out for people to be resurrected. So more than likely, I'll end up slotting people in for, hey, you got reborn in Dungeon Walkers, but we will see what happens. In some cases, I just go, you know what, this name just looks like it'll work so much better in Binding Words, and I hold off and then throw you into a Binding Words. But we'll have to see. But those are, there's a set that's going to be given away on Facebook and a set that's going to be given away on Discord. One entry on Facebook, one entry on Discord, so a total of 2 entries for the platforms. So if you've only done one, you might want to do the other one and double your chances. Just don't, put in twice on Facebook or twice on Discord, because then I'll DQ you and you will get nothing. Absolutely nothing, sir. And you didn't even still fizzy lifting drink. So, I'm just using my phone and I am stuck at work. Fair enough, Xerox. Don't get in trouble for it though. I'm not worth getting in trouble for. So I assume Steam will be spoiler free Oh, stream. And Sammy says she's already answered you. But yes, if people are going to be jackasses and spoiler the book that just came out 5 days ago, I will not be happy, and my moderator here will probably be deleting things. So, yay! Wield the banhammer with relish. Always wonder why it's with relish. Why is it never with sauerkraut or with something else? It's always with relish. Hmm. With prodigious amounts of joy? Yes, probably. Let's go with that. Bought it on the weekend, just started it. Well, I hope you enjoy it when you get through it. It looks like, for the most part, people have enjoyed it. I did have the one review that basically said Gregory was a pedophile because people will do that. Um, but overall, you guys have really enjoyed it. I appreciate that. Make sure to go out and spread the word, but do so in the rules and confines of wherever you spread them. Uh, okay, that was Sammy replying to things. Okay. How did AG8 do on audiobook? I won't know Xerox for a few months, honestly, because that's all through Podium. So Podium will get their numbers from ACX or Audible, and then they will inform me before they pay me. So it'll be months yet before I know how audio did for AG8. It is one hell of a book, honestly. I think it might be the best. Well, I appreciate that, Lost Phoenix. Probably the closest you can get to Lost Phoenix you can get without adding numbers on, honestly, because it looks like Phoenix. Uh, I have that shirt. Okay. Super sad. Yep, I agree. But those are the things that happen. I picked up Dungeon Walkers 1 and 2 the other week and binged them in a couple of days. Well, I appreciate that, Morgan. Mary, thanks, oh great editor son. Me. You're right. I apparently need new glasses even though I have new glasses. That's amazing. Air 5 is awesome. Thank you for another great book. Yeah, you are welcome. Thank you for enjoying it, honestly. Air 5 is my next book to read. I made room for it as the release date approached. I'm going to finish the book I am on, then it will cut into line as all of Daniel's books have that power. I appreciate that, Paul. Yeah, in the course of my normal releasing things sooner than people expect, I can see where that would cause issues with where you thought the book was going to come out. So, my bad. Uh, yeah, 50K is about half a standard novel. That's correct. You wanted the easy essay portion, right? I posted my entry for the 4-year full-time Discord right before AR5. After reading it, I wondered if I had foresight. Don't know, Artron. We get air. I mean, you're here, Demi. I see your comment. So I'm actually caught up to you guys already. That's kind of shocking, honestly. I'm surprised. Normally, you guys race off ahead of me, and I'm like half an hour behind on comments. No, even right at the beginning, they normally race off ahead. I'm sure that they will start now though. That I've called them on it. They'll be like questions, comments, get them. Yeah, I did. Hi from Pittsburgh. Well, Sweepy. Hi from the desert of southern Nevada. It's warmer here, I would bet, and probably also not as humid. My name is already in AR as the villain. You must be a Nick. I solemnly swear to not spoil AR5. They want your fans to enjoy. I appreciate that. Thank you. Could always wield it with mustard. I mean, true. I say we just say she'll wield the banhammer with stupendous amounts of joy, though, because she probably will. Wield it in conjunction with maniacal cackling. She's not really a cackling sort, but there will probably be some manic something. Someone doesn't understand Gregory if they're claiming he's not an honorable young man. Yeah, more than likely, it's probably just somebody who wants negative reviews on books. It happens every time. Doesn't phase me. It was just like that's the one thing you're gonna call out, the fact that he cares for Elsa. I mean, it's not like he dressed her up as a doll, took her out, plied her with fine wine or something. I didn't understand it, and it's those ones that I just go, oh, okay, sure, dude. That's like reading Binding Words 8 and then going, oh my God, there's harem. Yeah, yeah, there is. So what you're saying is that Faye Sun Mithril might not be the best cameo for Lux voice. Actually, considering Mithram does exist in Lux voice, I could probably make it work, honestly. Man, that's lots of little pauses for me today. I don't know why. You mentioned you'd been going to play D&D on Twitter. Sorry it got canceled. What kind of character did you plan to play? I DM. Uh, Drake, Dragos? Dragos? I'm not. Uh, I DM the game. We're currently playing the um, Frost Maiden Icewind Dale campaign, the box set. Um, but I DM it. My players are my friends and family that are here in town with me. So my editors, artist, my alpha reader, and then somebody I used to work at the jail with, who's an all around nice guy. So we had to have a token nice guy, and we chose Nick, which is funny because I mean if you think about the Nick I wrote and the Nick who sits at our table, they're like completely opposites from each other. Yeah, in the game he is, but I'm just saying from a Nick standpoint, Nick Shun and my friend Nick are really really far apart on personalities. But he doesn't read, so he'll never know. But if I'm gonna write 50K words and be on a real novel, I mean I don't blame you. That's where I'd spend 50,000 words. This is also why I don't do essay challenges. I'm trying to come up with a question that isn't related to AR5. I mean, I can see where it would be kind of hard, Dragon. I can, because that's what's on the brain right now. I understand. You just read the book. It's a couple days old. You're like, these are the things I really want to know right now. I understand where there could be a little bit of a challenge on the what should I be asking. So I do appreciate you not spoiling things though. How the hell did someone come to the conclusion that Gregory is a pedo? I don't know, Shank. I mean, the review's on Amazon, so if you want to go look at it, you can. But I don't know. I just figured the person was probably projecting. I mean, it's the only thing I can come up with. I mean, you treat her like a daughter, and all of a sudden it's different. I don't know. I went through the Aether's Guard series in 2 weeks, and now I'm stuck waiting for the next. Well, the fifth book came out 5 days ago, so it is now 6 to 8 months before the next one, since I write in a series rotation. So my series rotation is Aether Survival, Dungeon Walkers, Lux Voice, Binding Words, repeat. I am sticking, as hard as it is sometimes, to my 4 book rotation. This way, you guys never have to wait what I would consider an excessive amount of time for the next book of a series. Excuse me. So, 6 to 8 months is about the average for uh, Aether's Arrival 6 to come out. I would say. We'll see what happens in that period of time, but that's been my average. Can't ask many questions today as I'm driving, so I am just listening. That is perfectly fine. Please continue to drive safely. Don't worry about the questions. We do have 30 some odd people here, so we should have plenty of other people asking questions. I'd rather you not have issues on the road if you're behind a wheel, especially. Sick in bed just listening. APOC, that is terrible. But I mean, that's what happens when you eat planets. I mean, you're bound to eat the wrong one and get a stomach ache, right? Just saying. No, man. I hope you feel better soon. If I remember correctly, you didn't have a whole series planned out and build it out as each book is in place. How far out do you plot out, or at least direction? Paul, my plotting is this is my beginning of my series. This is my end of my series, and these are some things I would really like to see have happen sometime in the telling of this grand arc. Um, and then I probably only hit like maybe 50% of those points as my characters decide they want to go do something else. Um, so I am not the rigid plotter that a lot of other authors are. It's probably also the reason why I will never be able to do crossover tales like Rand does, because I couldn't reliably tie books together the way I write. So, how many books in will you reveal that Posey is actually the evil mastermind in LV? Well, Shank, I mean, I don't want to give it away too early. I mean, I know Andy jumped on it and she understood right at book 1. She understood the little girl was going to be the evil mastermind, was probably secretly controlling the entire town. However, I don't feel like I should let it go. Spoiler it. Should probably let it build, make it look like maybe Doc's making headway, like things are gonna work out, and then Posey will just show up and be like, "Look, motherfucker, I'm not getting enough due. Okay, you cut me out, and I'm not happy about that. So now I'm here to take over. In fact, I'm just gonna kill you off and become the main character, and then we're gonna have just a dark arc of Dreadlord Posey to finish off the series, probably. I'm not saying it's going to happen, but it might. It is not a 0% chance. Do you have any idea how many books AR will have? Seems like each book covers a year for now at the pace. It would be 7 more books to reach the end you've established. Actually, each book through 4 was a half a year each. Um, and then book 5 was just the Boltune tournament. And when you read book 5, you'll understand why. If I took book 5 and included it onto the end of book 4, it would have been just short of 300,000 words. And you guys would have waited a lot longer to get book 4. And that would have been bad. And then the audio would be massive, and that would be bad for Andy and for trying to schedule it and everything else. So, yeah, I cut 4 where I did and then wrote 5 because I knew that the Boltune event was going to be this massive undertaking. And I was right. For those who read it, you understand everything that went on, and for those who have not yet, something to look forward to. But I hope when I get to book 6, at the moment I'm hopefully planning on actually for that being a full year, It'll probably be a little bit of a chunk to do that. Probably be like 150,000 words again. But I would like to be able to condense that down since a lot of it's going to be repetition of just training. And as soon as I establish a pattern, I can normally skip time periods because you know what's going to happen. It's a repetition. You know that the next day has been like the previous day, or one case, 1 month's is gonna end up looking like the last month. Um, so I'm hoping to do that. We will see what happens, and whether or not any twists come out of Gregory and crew when I'm trying to write it. Do you ever homebrew your own campaigns? Yes, I have. I've had homebrew campaigns where I put months of time into plotting them out. Broken in the first gaming session, and I've had just off the cuff homebrews that last over a year of week every week getting together for them. Um, since I spend so much time writing now, I have a tendency to rely on modules more than anything because it makes my time of preparing easier for the game. So now it doesn't mean that they're going to follow the module, and I am going to have to, you know, go off script and ad lib like I've done for most of my life. But it does give me at least a framework to put something around, so I don't have to do all that work, for which I am grateful. Speaking of Travis, which we were like at 15 minutes ago, do you happen to read his book? I really enjoyed it. It's rare to see something really different these days. Um, Legends and Lattes, I think, is what it was. Lattes and Legends, Legends and Lattes. It was something like that. It's the soft burn, slow burn, uh, female romance of a retired adventurer who opens up a coffee shop. Yes, I did read it. Yes, I enjoyed it. Can an author publisher petition Amazon to strike a review that's factually incorrect? The best we can do, Dave, is to go to the review, and then you can click the button that says report abuse. And if enough people do that, they'll normally yank a review. If the author publisher does it, nothing will ever happen because too many authors or publishers would abuse that to get rid of negative reviews. However, if the fan base goes and does that, then they normally will pull the review down. I'm not sure if they pull everything or just the wording, but I know that at least like the wording will disappear if enough people do it. I normally don't ask people to go and do that unless one, there's massive spoilers in it, or two, it's just a personal attack from hell. Which I've had both of those before, and then I've gone to a select few people and said, hey, can you go and report this? Because massive spoilers or the fact that they're calling me a misogynistic pig. So yeah, which is funny. I have been called for books in the same series. I've been called a, a misogynist and a feminist. So I have to think I'm writing fairly well if both sides of the spectrum could hate me equally. I figure I must be doing something right. I might honestly go and find her important. Yeah, RE Dungeon Walkers. Obviously, certain core characters from Alpha World are likely to appear. Are there any plans for the other characters? We're gonna have to wait and see, Morgan. For those who have not known, I mean, it's kind of out in the wilds now. Has been for months. Since the first Dungeon Walkers, it was hinted. Dungeon Walkers, of course, is the carnation, not reincarnation, incarnation, incarnation of Delta World. There have been hints of your favorite main characters from Alpha World that are mentioned in Dungeon Walkers. Um, those characters that people have wanted, hopefully, to see more of. Um, might make cameos or something, but they won't. Excuse me. Excuse me. They will never be the main characters. And that was the point. They've had their moment. They've had their character growth. They've had their moments, and they should get a nice retirement where there's not too much killing them every damn day. So of course we torture their son instead because reasons. So given that you are sticking to a 4-book rotation, probably, and won't be adding a new series until one of these finishes, what do you think is the closest to finishing, and is your mecha story still potential next on the chopping block? Well, Dragon, yes, the mecha story is currently the one that I'm most likely to go with next. Um, from a standpoint of what is going to end next, from a story perspective, it would be Binding Words. It is the one that is furthest along in its story arc that I would finish it first. However, Dungeon Walkers and Lux Voice are fair to middling for sales, especially against Binding Words and Aether's Revival. As long as they can maintain, then everything's fine. But if the drop off happens like it did for um, Apocalypse Gates, where I'm barely meeting editor money and artist money and everything else, I'll probably find a way to wrap them up and then move on to a different series. Not ideal, but I also dislike not wrapping up a series, which is why Apocalypse Gates got the nice soft ending that it got with the end of the North American arc, because I had to from a business standpoint. But I also, I didn't want to leave it out there not done either, because I hate that. As a reader, I hate that. I'd rather have a soft conclusion to fall back on as a reader than being like, well, he just never got his 50 reviews or 100 reviews, so he left the series out there dangling and never got around to it. So, of course, I don't do that, but I probably shouldn't have. I'll just go on now. I need someone to help me know what planets to go for. Fucking with the voice of luck is obviously not doing good for my void-like belly. Fair enough, APOC. I mean, probably giving you a bit of indigestion. That's probably what it is. You can curse Doc right now. That's probably why your stomach's upset. So I think that is a fair thing to do. Sorry, I am late. It's fine. Purple name. Hang on. Darren Winner. My eyes are not the best eyes, especially with colors. And I turn it black, and then some colors are bad. It's white. Other colors are bad. We just can't get away from it. So we're not even going to try. Handsome bastard killed my preacher too. Yeah, fucking him and his cadre of beautiful women. Stick to moons, APOC, lot less gassy. I mean, not necessarily. There are some moons that are gassy, so which is might not work out. Also, not a whole lot of life on most moons. No trouble here. Come first, and my boss is okay with my phone. If my phone don't work, I would be. If my phone didn't work, I'd be going home and watch this. I mean, fair enough, Xerox. I'm not gonna tell you what to do with life, but I'm not sure I'm worth leaving work early for, honestly. I mean, it's very flattering, but I'm really not sure I'm worth that. Just read the review. Holy hell, the whole thing is such a bad thing. Yeah, that's people, and it's fine, guys. I mean, it is. It's just I don't understand where some people get certain views from. Everyone's entitled to their opinion, even when it's stinky and smelly, and you probably don't want to step in it. I am not out of my MOP, so I can ask more questions. Well, in that case, feel free, sir. Uh, Posey Posey was staying behind, right? If she does, could she solidify a power base and ride Doc's shadow? Um, it's a question, Paul. We're gonna have to wait and see how the story evolves. I mean, with how book 4 ended for Lux Voice. For those who are on audio, I I really do apologize. Um, but you're always going to be slightly behind with that. Lux voice, especially since things happened, and we're further behind in audio for Lux voice than we are the other ones. Um, with how things set up at the end of Lux Voice 4, it kind of leaves a lot open. And it's going to be interesting when I get around to starting in on Lux Voice 5, where the story goes from there. For so I can't say too much about it because there's still so much open for the series. At least the moons are made of cheese. Is there anyone in here willing to listen to all 8 Apocalypse Gates books with me? It's open to anyone who wants to. I mean, it sounds like an audio date, Xerox. I wish you the best of luck finding a willing partner. I mean, some of those scenes though might get a little awkward depending on how close you are to the person when the audiobook is going on. Dark Lord Posey. Hey, Epson. Glad you can make it. I guess that AR6 might cover a longer period since Greg is going to be separated from everyone else for most of the training time. I'm still looking forward to seeing how you develop that year. I see so many possibilities, and it's true. He's still at least in the training period, the training montage that is coming up in book 6. Everyone knows it's not a surprise. He has to go train with his troops, and he is going to get. Um, it was mentioned in book 4. He is going to get sporadic time with Yuki and Jen in that setting. So there is going to be chunks where he is just drilling with his men, getting them to understand, so they can come to understand each other, so they can be more comfortable with the things that might be asked of them, so on and so forth. Those are the scenes once they're established, once you know characters and whatnot, we can kind of skip forward. That's why it's probably going to. That's why I'm hoping to be able to fit like that entire year into one book. Even then, I still feel like it'll be slightly chunky to try to squish the entire year down. We will see. I mean, that's for me. That's like 6 months away before I get to the writing process. So I still have some time before I have to try to wrap my head fully around what I am currently hoping to do. Will that happen? I don't know. Lux's voice is. I know that's supposed to be such, Xerox. I know that is supposed to be such, but I'm going to read it exactly how it's typed. Lux's voice is suck a great series. Rosa would be proud. So now I'll correct it and go with the actual question. Lux's voice is such a great series. Was Sheriff Grange ever a good cop, or was he just bad and corrupted by darkness? That's one of those things that you have to make a judgment call for yourself. From when you see him in book 1 through book 4, you know who he is from where Doc encounters him. But you also have other people who say that he was a good man before that. So the question you have to understand, the question, the thing you have to decide yourself was he really a good person who just drifted away from what was good and right? Or was he always the person that he shows himself to be who just put on a mask for those people before Doc showed up? And that's life. Those are decisions you make around people all the time. You might not get along with somebody. Somebody else is like, "Oh, dude, he's a great guy. I don't understand why you don't get along with him." So it's one of those things that I'm not going to answer because it is open for interpretation depending on how you view things yourself. If I remember right, they talk about Grange being a good cop long before. See, Paul has his had a thought on it. Do you do you want a male or female narrator for Dungeon Walker series since Travis is going away? Um, Since there are no erotic scenes written out, Xerox, I would be fine either way. If there is sexy times written out, if there is erotic content described in some detail, I personally want a female narrator. I would much rather have a woman tell me how great something feels sexually than to hear a guy, especially somebody with maybe like a deep bass voice, telling me how good that feels. I'm just saying. It's totally sexist to me, and I know that, and I'm just going to go ahead and live with that fact. I'd rather have a woman give me sweet, sexy nothings in my ear than a guy. There is no man sexy enough that I want to hear his voice describing that to me. Even Morgan Freeman, I would pass on. I would definitely pass on Ryan Reynolds, though I would take him for a comedy in a fucking instant. If I had a comedy series, I would take him. I would take Ryan Reynolds doing most of Scotty Futch's books. Ryan Reynolds doing a Scotty Futch book, I think would be fucking hilarious. Since for those people who don't know, Scotty Futch does gamelit books, but he does over the top parodies for his series. So Sheriff Grange used to be an honorable man. Unfortunately, his interactions with the preacher of the church apparently led to his corruption. We have a few people who believe that Grange was a good person who just slid into darkness and wasn't always a complete jackass of darkness who just had a really good mask for a long time. I loved Greenway Goblins, a buck, and he would have stuck with that one because it's not harem. Of course, we don't talk about that series because, oh, man, that hurts even talking about it. Of course, Greenway Goblins dying early like it did is what allowed Aether's revival to happen. So, things happen for a reason, maybe? I know that Amazon will pull an entire review if they decide to remove it. I've seen it happen, and I've been on the receiving side. So I don't I don't believe they do it just because the author complains, though, is the point. I think enough other people have to flag it as a problem for it to get pulled. Because, like I said, if it was the authors doing it, that would open up just so much abuse for, oh, I need this removed just because it's a bad review. Uh, how many more books would you hope to see for Dungeon Walkers? If I did massive dungeon jumps in it, because I mean honestly I would have to, otherwise the series would stretch into 30 some odd books. But I was already planning for, like, skipping 2 3 tiers at a time later in the series once things are firmly established and you understand things. Um, let's say at least a dozen. I mean that's coming from me, and I'm terrible at deciding how many books are going to be in a series. Um, there are 33 tiers of 3 dungeons apiece, plus the goddess's dungeon, the goddess's challenge at the end is how the world is set. I would probably never write 30 books of Dungeon Walkers, even if it was a best selling series, because the later dungeons are going to be so the dungeons grow in size and difficulty that it would just that it the series dictates that there would be um, jumps to write it all out. Um, Dungeon Walkers is currently, though, the worst selling of the 4 series. I went back and looked and crunched all the numbers earlier today for for each series and just like the last couple years of numbers. And Dungeon Walkers is obviously the worst selling series. Lux Voice is slightly better than that, and then Binding Words and AR are kind of neck and neck, but AR is pulling away from Binding Words. Um, just from a ranking system, and no, I'm not getting into numbers. Uh, I follow on Patreon, and I'll admit reading the first 4 chapters of the new Dungeon Walkers books make me already want or make me want more already. It's starting out great, and that's the thing, Lost. I really hope that that's what happens. I really hope that book three is where everyone really jumps on board with it. There's a lot there to go through. There's a lot of story in that series still. Um, I have made sure that I have um, easier ways to address things if things go badly though as well. So because you should always have when writing an epic saga, if things go badly, make sure you have an exit plan. But I really enjoyed Dungeon Walkers from a character standpoint, from the hardships and things that have to go on. There are new characters that show up in Dungeon Walkers 3 for those people on Patreon who've already met them, and I think that's another great dynamic that I hope you guys will enjoy going forward as well. Lux voice fan here. Haven't had time to get the other series yet. That's fine. Uh, Misfit, it's fine. I'm glad you are enjoying Lux's voice. What are the sales? I'm not sure I could drag Binding Words into 30 books, Xerox. I mean, even if I wanted to, even if I was like, the series sells too well, I'm never gonna let it die, like some, trad authors have done, traditional authors have done, where they're on book 56 of the series, and you're like, I'm pretty sure I've read this plot before back in like books 3 and 23 and 51, but that's fine. I'll just read it again with different names, I guess. Um, I don't think I could drag Binding Words into 30 books if I tried. It has a story point. It has it has an end goal that I've always had in mind. Um, and I don't foresee me not getting there at any point. So there is a finite ending though. There is for every series I write. There is always an ending that I have in mind. I liked AG. I don't know why the sales were there. I mean, there's a lot of speculation, Paul, that I could give on it. Sales really dropped off starting with book three going on. Um, I mean, I could speculate endlessly on why. I have no hard evidence to prove any of it though, so it's mostly futile. So I don't know. Uh, Insurance cause otherwise. I was always going to give you AG8. I am always, if at all possible, I'm always going to give you a place to set down a series. At least with Greenway Goblins, R.I.P. It's they finished the adventure and they were moving on. It was it's not a great place, but it's still enough of an ending that it's okay. It's not Binding Words 5 ending, right? It's not that what wait what ending. So I'm better with that. I probably would have forced myself to write a Greenaway's Goblins, or sorry, a Resurrection Quest 2 if I hadn't had that kind of an ending because I don't want to leave something midstream like that. Just getting blue balled. I mean, it's true, Shank. No, nobody wants to get blue balled. I take that back. There's probably somebody out there that's their kink, and I'm not going to shame you. That's fine. If that is what you want in life, more power to you. 99% of other people would prefer not to be. Uh, During last month's talk, you mentioned an encounter when we would learn Light Shield's age. No, it's always just a hint at his age. There's I hardly ever give solid numbers. It leaves things a little more open for you guys as readers to interpret as you would like, and I enjoy that. Um, the idea of how old he is, you get a really good appreciation for just how long the man has lived if you look at the volume of hints that are in the series. I did. I have readable colors. Does not help me in some cases. How much foreshadowing do you use in your books? If it's something I know that I'm going to get to, um, then I will foreshadow it for as long as I see fit. There are some foreshadowing and binding words that has been going on since book one that eventually we'll get around to. Um, in AR, there has been some foreshadowing, and you get bits and pieces of things as they happen. But I don't since I am not a hard plotter. I'm not rigid. This is my frame. I don't write chapter 1 to 16, 23, 51, and go back to 4 because there are authors who can do that because they write a framework. They know that these are scenes that are going to happen, and they can just go and write them however they want and plug them in, and then go back and do a small edit pass and things will work out. I can't do that. Um, I write my stories chapter 1 to the end every time. So there's very rarely, unless it's something I'm 100% positive is going to happen, that I foreshadow it. If I am sure it's going to happen, there is foreshadowing. But that's only because I will make sure that moment happens. It is something solid that I really want, and if my characters deviate from it, I will find a way normally to still have it happen because it's normally a key point to a series for me. But I can't foreshadow like other authors since I don't write off a framework. I also very rarely go back and add things in just to have foreshadowing. Actually, I don't think I've actually ever done it. I've gone back and fixed things before, but I don't think I've ever gone back and added something in just to have foreshadowing. So you have stopped our trucking in Northern California. That's too bad. I like Northern California. Northern California is where all the pretty trees and stuff are. I mean, that's about the nicest thing I can say for California as well. So I grew up there. I lived there for a portion of my life, and they are lousy neighbors. Gotta give the ogre treats so he comes out of his caves and gives us his literary genius. I mean, jazz. I'm all for that. I mean, just make sure they're the right kinds of treats and not poisonous, preferably. Bacon ranks high on the list of treats. Yes, but that's because bacon should always be high on nearly every list of positivity in existence. Xerox, I'd rather that binding word spins down to a conclusion before it starts getting repetitive. I think part of what caused AG to fade was there was a bit of sameness in the later books, and don't get me started on other authors. Um, Possibly AG was always a travel story because they were always going to be on the road, going somewhere, and doing things. Um, so that very likely could have been one of the major reasons. Um, once they end up with the Huey, um, the travel portion mostly gets skipped because now you're just flying over things, so you're not on the road all the time. Um, I mean, so it's possible because when you're driving around and things have gone on, you're always going to be stopping and talking to people. So I guess that would feel very samey uh, to most people. That could have been why. The evil lord in secret riding his shadow. I mean, yeah, possible, Paul. I mean, we're gonna have to wait and see. There's still a lot of Lux voice there to go off of. In the AR book, seeing how book 4 came out, since the Eternal Flame is only going to Boldoon for the fighting, and Aether's Guard is going for both. How much of a black eye is that to the Eternal Tea Lights? Not much, because they still made it. I mean, unlike the Han Clan and Yamato Shipping, who didn't make it to either side of them. I mean, they still get some prestige out of the fact that they've sent people. Um, However, we all know how the Eternal Flame is, so we'll see how long that bit of prestige lasts for them. I am not deep into the genre, but I read a fair amount of it, and I've heard rumblings about there being problems or issues with harem as a genre. If there were to be some sort of crackdown or whatever, have you given your thoughts to how that might affect your writing? It would be very hard for me to transition away, honestly, Jen. Um, I mean, harem is outside of uh, Resurrection Quest. Harem is basically what I've written. I mean, even oh god, first series that I can't think of the name of now. I just blanked. Last Horizons. Um, still had a triad relationship. Harem is just what I write. Write what you know. Um, so could I write standard like romance, just one man, one woman, and make it work? Yeah, I think I could do it fairly well. Um, I'm not sure how much of the audience will stay though. That's one of those things. Dungeon Walkers was the okay if I strip the erotic content out, if I make it clean, if I make it PG-13 plus, stay away from the R rating. Um, will the fan base accept it? And overall, yeah, I mean it does okay, but it's not Binding Words, it's not Aether Survival, it's not Alpha World even. So I mean, I would probably still drop some. And that's just a thing that happens. It depends on what Amazon and decides to do about harem overall. Since harem is such a broad spectrum of stories, because you go from me hard character stories with maybe multiple love interests to Chad and Vaglandia on the other side of the spectrum, where there's very little story and characters but a whole lot of sex. Um, I mean that the genre of harem encompasses everything in there. So it depends on when Amazon acts and how they act. I hope to continue where I am. If it got really really bad, then yeah, I'd probably end up going to just writing um, single romance um, books instead of harem. But I'll probably lose a chunk of you guys, or maybe not you specifically, but you guys in the general fan base. Harem has its own niche. It's basically male romance. Harem is what harem is. It's not five guys chasing one girl, which is what reverse harem is and is generally accepted. But as soon as you flip that and you call it harem, and it's five women going after one guy, some people tend to lose their shit. Reading some scenes of DJ's books to someone I was dating led to more than a few distractions of reading. Yeah, yeah, yeah. It'll happen, APOC. Uh, oh, are people wondering why I wasn't getting the questions? Ah, very nice. Thank you. My editor editing prematurely. That's not really premature. Let's let's stay away from the premature comments. Yeah, we'll go with proactively. Yeah. Okay. Moving on, my cat specifically had quite a bit of fun listening to DJ's books on date night. Thank you very much, Dragon. I appreciate that. It didn't help get us away from premature at all, though. I have to choose audiobooks carefully when I have someone writing in the car with me, especially when the books don't fade to black. And that is fair, Blitz. I understand where that could be a problem, especially if like you're an Uber or something. That could get very awkward. I have a horrible idea for a character in AR6. You give him a young female archer as one of his troops, and she should wind up being another one who falls for poor Gregory. Give him someone to play off and build up. Maybe a refugee from Kroger. Um, no, I'm gonna already just tell you flatly, not gonna happen. I mean, yeah, there's lots of things like that would give something to do, but his troops have been trained for the last basically year and a half, and I already have a solid idea of the people that are going to be around him. I don't want to deviate from what I've already established in my head. Uh, that's a good. I didn't think about a good guy, but really, this thought has possessed me for a long time. Might who else might get added to his family during deployment? I mean, there is a question in there. But the Death in the Binding Word series were very necessary, so I accepted them. I agree that naming a character and killing them a chapter later can drive me crazy. I mean, fair enough. Outside of Skippy, you can name a Skippy and kill him even in the same chapter, and I think that's totally fine. But like love interests and whatnot, you probably shouldn't introduce them, have them start to get screen time, and then just kill them out of hand. I mean, I didn't write anything about games or Thrones, so Throne games. It'd be the opposite. Just slowly keep adding characters in, and every new character is the next favorite character, so they get to live a little bit longer. So, well, yeah. So it would be the non-wedding. So it would be a divorce instead of the red wedding. It would be like a white divorce. Everyone just shows up to celebrate that the divorce happens, and then everybody goes off happy. I mean, if you want to parody it, you should really just throw everything at it. If you're gonna do parody, throw everything at the wall. Military perspective, it's catastrophic for morale to have romantic developments between levels of chain of command. Yeah, well, there's a reason why it's been frowned upon in this establishment. The reason why the military tries to hold to that at least as much as they can. But maybe I want your voice whispering sweet nothings in my ear, DJ. Well, Lost Sin, I appreciate that. My voice is far from anything I would ever want in my ear whispering anything, much less sweet nothings. I I have a voice for TV and a face for radio. So, I mean, as someone into both genders, I can say women make sexy talk better. I mean, fair enough, Shank. Now right here, narration in my head for all of Scotty Futch's books as Ryan Reynolds. I mean, if you're gonna do it, Dragon, do it right. We know Ryan is great at comedy. I mean, he's proven it time and again now. And Scotty's books are basically just all over the top comedy. So I think that's a hell of a thing. I'd like to see Scotty be able to get any of his books narrated, but he has had abysmal luck finding a narrator who does more than just monotonely reads things apply for the books he had up at one time, which is why he doesn't have audiobooks, is because it just never worked out. Uh, Good audiobook recommendations. I need a good audiobook recommendation for when I go mow tomorrow. Any suggestions? And yes, I have all of yours already. I mean, it really depends on what you have. I'm good with all of Rand's books and his Randy Darren persona. Um, it really depends on the type of story you want. Honestly, I liked Fight Town by Hondo Jinx. Um, Rip Hondo Jinx. Apparently, that pen name has died because I haven't been able to get a hold of him in like a year now, which is too bad because I was really looking forward to more Fight Town. But business is business. Uh, do do do. Wait, this three-way goblin. Oh, they okay, okay. Whew. About to say a three-way goblin. What? I'm pretty sure I haven't written that scene yet. I did say yet. I've had my reviews pulled when nothing was explicit or wrong with it, apart from being a positive review. That's weird, Jazz. That one's just weird. All I could think of is that there was a set of trolls that were flagging good reviews to have them yanked. Maybe. Are you planning on having the travelers show up before they reach the final dungeon? Um, the travelers will show up at some point. Where in the series that happens is still up in the air. Kit, welcome, Kit. I hope Luck's voice keeps above water so we can see more of the world, even though I'm 2 books back because of audio. Fair enough, Outlaw. Like I said, I know the next book from me, Andy, is getting to is Luck's Voice 3. And then it should be Binding Words 8, and then Aether Survival 5, and then Luck's Voice 4, and so on. At this, I'm fighting ever pushing them back again. The reason we ended up where we are is because I bumped Luck's Voice out of rotation on her once and asked her to do Binding Words and AR first. So I apologize for you. Um, so at this point, we're going to hold with the rotation and just let it happen. Data nerd question: do you compare your book series on a by the book? So how well AR4 versus AG4 did? Um, no, Paul. I normally just kept a rough idea of how each release month went for each book. Because that's normally the first 30 days is where like 90% of the sales and reads come from and stuff. Might be a gross exaggeration. It might be like 80%, but it's still where the majority of sales and book reads come from. Um, so I just keep track of basically the first 30 days of a book being out. And then that gets broken down by actual book sales and also by uh, Kindle KU's page reads, and then the combined of them, which gives me then an overall view. I don't compare, hey, what was book 4 of this series versus book 4 of this series. The series are disparate enough in tone that like it's a Western series, so not as many people are going to enjoy it as much as like a standard fantasy series. So I mean that does would take away from that even more already than just how the books are doing by themselves. Afternoon, got my new desktop set up finally. Well, thank you. Yep. Yep. Congratulates on 4 years of writing. Well, thank you, Outlaw. It's actually 4 years as a full time writer. Come this October, excuse me, come this October, it'll be 6 years of being a writer. I published in 2016 was the first book published. Of course, I finished writing that first book in 2015, and yeah, let's just say that editing was a thing. Where you don't you just write the book and then you're like, I don't really know how to edit, and the girlfriend's like, well, I've never edited either, but we can try. And after a year, it was just like, let's just publish it and let the chips fall where they may, because if we're not going to make it any better than we've already tried. So, yeah, six years as a published author this year, come October, which of course will be its own event, its own giveaway that I do. We're gonna go ahead and pause for one moment though, because we have been here for a little over an hour. So we're gonna go briefly recap things. Of course, Aether Survival 5 Mages of Muldoon just came out on ebook format 5 days ago. We got it up for a moment into the top 30 in the Kindle store. I really appreciate that, guys. You as a fans blow me away every single time. Thank you very much. It's doing amazingly well, and I appreciate you guys your support. I am currently working on Dungeon Walkers 3. Um, and we'll see how it develops as we go forward before it gets published. Sadly, from the audio standpoint of Dungeon Walkers 3, Travis realized that I write harem, which kind of goes against his brand, so he has asked to step back. I am working with Mountaindale Press now to find a replacement narrator going forward for Dungeon Walkers, which isn't great because changing narrators is never good for a series. Um, from other audio standpoints, since last month, we have had Apocalypse Gates 8 in audio and Aether's Arrival 4 in audio. So we've had quite a bit of things come up audio wise for you, as well as a new book that has come out. And I am currently having two contests run, one on Facebook, one on Discord. You can enter once on each platform that to celebrate my 4 years of being a full-time writer, where I set down the day job and said, "This is it. I'm going to make my living just writing words. Please, dear gods, let it work. I really don't want to have to go back and work for somebody else." So, thank you very much, guys. I have been able to continue this path forward in life because you have continued to support my dream of not working for other people and just writing you stories for 4 years now. 4 years on the 21st of May. Um, I really appreciate that. It did mean that I was able to start giving you books faster instead of every 3 to 4 months. Now it's every 6 to 8 weeks. So I think fairly good trade off. You guys support me, and I give you books slightly faster. Yay! Is there a cat? Is a poot. Where was I? Okay. Agree. I do not want a Firefly cliffhanger. Right, Paul? Fuck you, Fox. To this day, fuck you. 12:47. So I was only like half an hour behind. Go us! There I was, 12 minutes in, going, huh, I already caught up to everyone. And then look at you guys, making me proud. Thank you. Of all the series, my personal ranking is Binding Words, AR, Dungeon Walkers, Lux Voice, just because of the stories. And that's the thing, everybody has their own personal favorite. A lot of people at the moment seem to have Aethers and Binding Words interchangeable, but those two seem to flip back and forth for first and second more than any other. So, see that? I just gave you a book update, and I'm only half an hour behind. Yay me! Lots of people telling Sammy she's doing a great job. Yay, Sammy! And there's the cat in the background. So now my viewership should skyrocket because cat has been invoked. I'm rereading, listening to Aethers on book 2. There's a hint at a Cutthroat Kitchen. Who watched the show to hunt at it? To hint at it? To hint at it? I enjoyed Cutthroat Kitchen. I wish there had been more. There was not. You can use. Oh, make announcements. Make it special fancy. Gotta feel sorry for the ogre's women. His frame is never rigid. That's sad, Jazz. Very sad. I mean, it might be accurate, but that's besides the point. It's just, meh. Uh, I would go at most around 15 books for a series. After that, it's just going to be too long. Well, Crimson, you're probably going to have a problem with AR then. Honestly, I set out to write an epic saga with AR, and so far, it's on the way. Don't your books go through a ton of editors? That's why they're perfect when I get to listen to them. They go through 2 edit passes and a proofreading pass. So I mean, there are still errors that make them through, everything. I will never have a book that has no errors at all. But then when Andy reads them, she will correct a couple more, and then I normally fix things up before I kick. I try to fix up as much as I can before I kick them over to be made into paperbacks. My only regret in AG is they never really confronted the dragons. Well, I mean, we ended the North American arc. There is a reason for that, Lost Phoenix. Honestly, he went coast to coast. It just wasn't the coast to coast you were probably hoping he got to. Uh, there will be complaints no matter what you write. Fair enough, Kit. Fair enough. Happens every time in life. Oh, for if I don't know if they're here, there are two people outstanding still from last month's live chat. Um, if you're here or you're watching this later from last month's live chat, there were messages sent via Twitch here because I mean this is where we do them. Um, I'm still waiting for you to tell me what challenge coins you would like and what your address is. I have messaged you, so if you see this message via playback later, check your messages, see if there is one from me. If there is, please reply. This goes for everyone here. Sometime later today, after all this is over, Sammy will give me the list of everyone who helped make this a fabulous, fabulous thing, and I will randomly select you, and then I will message people on Twitch here, the little chat bubble in the upper right hand corner near the Get Bits, and I will message you and be like, "Congratulations, you're one of the winners. Which challenge coin would you like, and what address do I send it to?" And I kind of need that reply if you would like the loot. I mean, if you never want the loot, totally fine. You don't have to. Just ignore it and let it go. Um, but I do message people via this platform because this is where we hold this. Um, so that is something to be aware of if you attend and think that maybe you would like the loot. It would be to check, you know, in a couple of days and see if you're one of the winners. Because I normally do it within 24 hours of the live chat. I pick the winners and message people. So just stop by tomorrow or the day after, see if you're one of the winners, and reply if you are. Fairly straightforward. And then I can get you something as a thank you. I think that works out. Um, I normally hold them open for like no, I don't redraw, but I will hold them open normally for a month or two. So like the people who still haven't replied from last month, I'll still consider them valid for right now. Um, I did have one case where somebody waited half a year to reply to me, and at that point I'm like, dude. So after a couple of months, I'll probably be like, I've waited. I have since moved on. I really am sorry. I'm not going to give you anything at this point, but goddamn, son. I'd like to point out that most problems most people have with harem as a genre has to do with the female characters being as thin as paper and mostly seeming to exist just to participate in erotic activities with no depths. One thing I love about Daniel's books is that the characters that he likes to write have depth and feel like real people. I mean, that's if you're not doing that, then what's the point? I mean, you might as well just give them a God damn it, what's the word of the thing? It's a tube for men. Fleshlight. You might as well just give them different named fleshlights and just let them pull them out of a bag here or there because I mean at that point that's all they are. I don't know. I would say that Alpha World was definitely an inspired story. I appreciate that, Jazz. That story came when I was still working at the county detention center, and I was talking to a deputy about what possible what if scenarios, and then how people deal with trauma, and what would happen if you gave if there was the chance of full immersion, and whether or not that would or would not help people heal from such things. I love sex in my books, but you have to write sex serve purpose. AG4 is your best book for sex balance. A lot of people thought AG4 had too much sex, honestly, Xerox. So I mean, it really depends. At this point, I've really gone for one scene per love interest. Um, Outside of character moments that have meaning to them. They're not. I I refuse to put in gratuitous moments, especially nowadays. If the sex is in there, it serves a meaningful purpose. Either the character is having a moment that helps redefine who they are, or it's uh, character dealing with the fact that they're actually going trying to have a child. Now there's always going to be a meaning for it. Otherwise, you know how sex is going to work between Greg and Yuki. We've seen it. We've had instances of it. I shouldn't have to describe that to you again. You understand that when they go off to the bedroom, especially with Jen, since that was worked out in book 3, you know what's going to happen. The look she gave you when you said premature was funny. I mean, yeah, we do love her responses to some of the things that come out of my mouth. I can't stand reverse harem. I've tried to read it multiple times, and the unreality of all these alpha men being willing to not fight over one woman who can somehow beat them all despite being small and weak is clearly female fantasy. Everybody has their own fantasy, and I don't mind it. It just I don't understand why it's. I understand. That's the sad point. And I'm going to stop there because it's going to be bad for me. Somewhere someone will take it out of context. Yeah. Moving on before I get in even more trouble than I ever have in my life. Please write a D&D book with an evil main character. I did write a D&D book, Xerox. It was called Resurrection Quest. They weren't really evil characters. They were antisocial characters. Meh. I read your books because I like the plot line, not because of the harem. Just like when I read romance, I don't care about the actual romance, just the non-romance plot line. Last Horizons was good, and that didn't have a harem in it. Technically, Darth, it did. It had a triad relationship, which you could call the very beginning of harem because it is more than just male female or male male or female female. It is more than just two people in a relationship. As soon as you go beyond that, you really kind of have a harem. A lot of people say harem starts after a triad, but eh. At that point, I think you're splitting hairs. Plot twist: AR will get a second Skippy. I mean, it's not like there's only one name per. There's only one. There's not just one Gregory in the world, for instance. So I mean, it's not beyond the pale to think a second Skippy would show up at some point. Probably also being an asshole, the bane of being a Skippy everywhere. But my editors normally stop me from reusing names. They say it causes confusion. I say it causes hilarity. I haven't missed this much of a live chat in months. I hate it when I lose track of the date. Um, it happens, Dreams. I do post on the various social media things that we are starting. So Facebook, Discord, Twitter, all of them got their message of, oh, by the way, live chat's going on. So it might be easier for you. There's a role on Discord That's the live chat role. So when we go live on Discord, when we do the live chat, we actually tag that role. So anybody who's opted into that role gets tapped on Discord. So you get that little ping from Discord that says, "Hey, hey, pay attention." Uh, Girlfriend was reading another harem series. She had issues with the fact that they were adding to the harem and not knowing the women, and some weren't even named. Wow. If you're adding to the harem and you don't know the names of the people being added to it, that's hmm, yeah, that's just not me. We'll leave it there. I love Chi-Town. Yay, I'm only 20 minutes behind everyone now. Woo, go me! Parts of it reminded me of some of your writing. According to a bunch of people who've talked to him, Hondo is pretty much done. Really sad. He had gotten as far as the cover of Fight Town 3 was done and shown. Yeah, and I understand. Last I talked to him, he was like, "I'm not sure it's going to work out." Just writing overall, not just just not this Fight Town. At least that's what was happening when I was talking to him last, which was about a year ago now. Um, so it's really sad because I really wanted to see more of that. I really enjoyed it. Um, One of the things that I had talked to him about is the more niche you make a category, the harder it's going to be, though. So, like Lux Voice, it's a Western, and there are a lot of people who are like, Western, I'm not reading it. Some of my fans were like, dude, I really put off starting Lux Voice until book 3 because Western, didn't really feel it. And I'm sorry I didn't start it earlier because I really enjoy the series now. But the more niche you make something, the harder it is to reach more of an audience. Um, a boxing niche is going to be one of those things. Um, I think he did an amazing job, and he had life he could draw on for it. But it was one of those things that was probably going to happen. It was going to make it harder for him to reach a wider audience. But I don't think it wasn't Fight Town that did Hondo in. I think it was just the overall slowing down of things for him, like the back catalog. When you're a writer, your back catalog continues to make money for you. Um, and I think there was problems there or something. I don't remember. It's been a year. I could be completely speaking out the side of my ear at this point. Um, but I really wanted more Fight Town, so I was really sad we didn't get book 3. If he ever replies to my many messages I left him, um, maybe I can convince him to at least send it to me so I can read it. It's selfish, but that's fine. I don't mind. I'll be slightly selfish. Uh, in most of your books, the characters seem to love food. Alvin and AG with a bowl of substance, and Gregory not clearing tofu are the only times where people didn't care for food. No, you also have to remember he doesn't. There are other people who didn't care for aspergrass and such as well. Are the only times just how things worked out, or is it your personal preference? Not just my personal preference. Depending on the character, I tried to make things um try to make things match up. Characters not enjoying specific foods is one of those things. Most people have a food they just don't care for. So including that occasionally for a main character. Oh, great, tofu. Don't really care for it. Helps make things slightly more relatable. I mean, I don't blame Alvin for the bowl of sustenance because, as he said, it tasted like bland, wet cardboard. I mean, no one's really going to be like, "That's what I want in the morning." There actually might be somebody, but that's just weird. Did the mug change? Are you crazy? No, my mug is the same. I finished my coffee and picked up my water. Finished AR5. While the details weren't guessed, I did guess where you would end it. I appreciate what they did in the book. Looking forward to AR6. Thank you very much. Yeah, I appreciate that. Sorry on my phone, super tiny screen. The lizard dragon sleeps during the day. The only time he will ever show up is when I'm doing one of the late night streams. And then he might emerge from his cave. Uh, uh, and now an AR-25. And so go the days of Gregory's lives. Mom showed up. I'll be there in 20 minutes. Apparently, my mother showed up. I was told the mother has arrived. Everyone, misbehave within reason. That's a good point. I should totally make sure to add that caveat. Uh, I have my AR coin. It's amazing. Thank you so much. Well, Artron, lucky you for winning, sir. I'm glad that you enjoy it. I need the loot to appease the dragon soul inside of me. I mean, yeah. I was excited when I got the message on Patreon that I got the cameo. I ended up jumping up and down for 5 minutes. I mean, congratulations. Now we'll see what I do to your name that make you regret the fact that you became a cameo. Don't worry, it happens to everyone. Uh, you have how have your allergies been? You have not mentioned them. Um, yeah, well, I stopped getting shots because they weren't helping. So they've been what they have been basically for the last 30 years of my life at this point. They're there. I self medicate as I need and try not to get sinus infections. Every allergy med I've ever been prescribed works for about a few months, and then my body builds an immunity to it, and then it stops working. Ooh, I see the Sammy came down on somebody's message. Ah, the banhammer showed for the message. For the message, it was a banhammer for the message, not the person. It was the ban eraser. Oh, just an eraser, not the banhammer. So it was an Acme eraser. Yes, Andy really loves it when you name two characters the same or similar names. Yeah, kind of like Ryan and Ryan. Ryan and Ryan. I mean, depending on how you would want to pronounce them. Ryan and Ryan. Ven and Ven. Yeah, Andy. Me and Andy, we have this connection where I make names and she goes, I really hate the fact that these sound alike. It's great. My editors have been prompting me to make that less often now. So, yeah. So now we have to we have they try to stop me, but even then sometimes there are those unintentional ones that happen which still make me laugh. We'll say I didn't notice until the streams, but I go back and see the Skippy murders. Yeah, yeah. Poor Skippy. That all started because of Alpha World, and the fan base hated Skippy so much from Alpha World they wanted to see him die repeatedly. And let's not be said that I don't give my fan base some things at times. That's how I was on LV. It's a western. I won't like it. And then I ran out of other books of yours to read, took the time to catch up on it, and fell in love with them. And that's what happened. That Mesra. We're gonna say Mesra. Um, for a lot of people who skipped LV originally because western. A lot of people then went, "Oh wow, I actually enjoy this. It's not the Western I thought it was." So when mages get their troops, did we ever define how many troops are assigned to them at a time? It has not specifically been stated in any book so far. No, has not. The troops they get are basically their personal magi guards. They're not being given like infantry, cavalry, and so on and so forth. They're being given their troops, their personal troops. That's who he's training with. No, Jerry's Adventures is here. Hello, Jerry's Adventures. Uh, nope. There's mom. I'm only 5 minutes behind now, guys. Oh, look at you! I'm catching up. You know what happens when I catch up, don't you guys? Stream ends. Just saying. Just saying. Let that sword of Damocles dangle over your head for a minute. Uh, where was I? Hi, Mom. Thanks for raising such a great son. He's an amazing storyteller. I don't know about great son. I mean, I am her favorite child. Let's not give my sisters any credit. I am, without a doubt, her favorite child. I helped her get a house. I gave her a nice piece of land to live on. She's got no mortgage now, all because of me. So I am without a doubt her favorite child. Sure, other kids might have given her grandchildren and things to dote on. Meh, I am her favorite child. If my sisters aren't here, I can say it, and they can't contradict me. So it's out there. No one has told me it's not accurate, and I have to argue with them. So therefore, must be true. We always aim to misbehave. That's why we like your books. Well, thank you, Outlaw. You have to aim to misbehave. That's just the way it is. For people who know Firefly, you understand. I will not regret the cameo. I refuse to. Uh, that sounds like a challenge. You you might regret this after all now. I mean, before you would have been like, yeah, it's fine. But then you just happened to show up and been like, I'll never regret it. Well, okay. I am a vengeful and wrathful deity. Ask my players. Dungeon Walker's then Lux voice, then binding words, right? When I update the file list, just so I can swag binding words by mid-November from now. The next set is in order will be Dungeon Walker's Lux voice binding words in order going out. Otherwise, we end up with Ryan kissing Sean instead of Ryan kissing Sean because of one N on the name. I mean, it does change things a bit. Does change things a bit. Names get confusing with AR at times in the audio as well. Jen, Jin, Eugen. I don't know. I don't see the problem. Oh, audio. I mean, yeah, for audio. I write in words though, not voice. I don't think about it when I name names. They look distinct to me. Editors, and Andy stop naming characters the same. Daniel makes whole species with names that sound alike. I mean, I haven't done it yet, but nobody's saying it won't happen either. There's nobody on my microphone currently saying that it won't happen either. At least it'll end up being a soft ending and not a Firefly ending. Has Nick approached Skippy levels of hate yet? Um, I don't think so. Lost. Nick has been, I want to say, mostly just a tool for most people. Not, I mean, we dislike Nick. I don't think the level of hate has really built for Nick the way it could have. Um, People really dislike him, but I don't think he's gotten to Skippy levels of hate, honestly. Give them blah blah blah. Look at that new first time viewer to chat. Welcome in, Bonds. If they're receiving their personal troops, why are the proctors don't walk around with troops? Because that's their job. They travel from place to place. They're not patrolling a specific route. Proctors are basically going from place to place to administer the rite of Aether, the ascension of adulthood, the rite of age day, depending on how you want to look at it. They're clearly defined, and they've all had that training with troops. So if a war breaks out, they already know what they're going to end up doing when they get placed in charge of something. This is more, these are your personal troops for the next few years because we might put you someplace where you're going to need them. Like, hey, you're in charge of making sure this town survives, the wilds. Good luck. Here are your troops. This is all you're getting unless war breaks out, so make it work. That's also how I am with my with my siblings. I mean, that's how it works, Lost. I mean, everyone with siblings knows how it works. It's fine. For those without siblings, you lucky bastards. You Humility is for those people who aren't good as they say they are. I mean, maybe. Oh, look at that. Hang on. I need my snippy tool. Mom even says she can't contradict me. Oh wait, favorite son. God damn it, Mom. You could have just said favorite child there, and I would have snipped that out and then sent it to my sisters and laughed. I thought I had a moment of victory, and then my mother snatched it away from me. Felt like a cookie all over again. I don't know why. That's not a cookie. That's a fucking travesty. For those who didn't hear, because she's back there, she said oatmeal raisin. Oatmeal raisin is something I don't consider a cookie. It is a travesty unto the likes of cookies. That is what you make when you want to trick unsuspecting ogres into believing there are cookies when there is not actual cookies. I have a hard time hating Nick that much. Yes, he's a complete a-hole, but at the same time, he's lost to Yuki so many times that I kind of find him pathetic. I can't see him as the biggest threat from within the Eternal Flame, and that's what I'm saying. I don't think he's reached that level of hate. He's a tool. Everyone knows he's a tool. Um, so you've committed one of the great blunders. Never go against the ogre when your name is on the line. I can see playing D&D with you like some kind of massive prize for some big TV giveaway. I mean, it doesn't work though. I've done distance D&D gaming before. I used to have a small game with Andy and Hayes going. But the timing to get things. Well, they're spam bots. Um, but it's always hard trying to arrange everything going on. Honestly, um, to get things set up. When you live in the same town and you actually meet in person, it always seems there's always a little more. Oh, hey, this is something we're going to do. Um, so I don't know. It never quite works out when you do distance gaming. As a one-off, yeah, actually that might be doable. Um, I'm not sure though. That might be something I do for like the 10-year giveaway. That might be fun. We'll have to see. That's still years away though, so I don't have to think about it right now. Go me. The thing that is, no matter what you do to the character, it will still be in one of your books. For me, that is an honor. I'm gonna take all the fun of giving your name badness. Fine. I'll just find somewhere nice for you. God, that would be a debacle, honestly. Do you keep notes on each of your characters, or do you just remember all of them? I have spreadsheets, Paul. Spreadsheets for every series. Some of them running into the hundreds of names. Normally, first they are listed by the first time they've spoken by book and chapter, and then normally description if applicable, especially for love interest, hair, and eye color. Defining features, whether or not they're ear tick and have tail, ears, whether their back is a lattice of whip scars. Those things are all noted, so I can make sure to keep them firmly in mind. Um, and then normally other notes of interest, like the fact that so and so is a mob boss, and I need to make sure I remember that, um, because they should have somebody on hand with them if things go down. So I'm not dead yet. Shut up, you. No, I feel better. Think I'll go for a walk. Uh, did I miss the Skippy and AR? He was there in the very first book. He died very quickly. Does the Emperor support a specific clan? We have not seen that, the Baron. Beambutt. The Beambutt has appeared. There is Catbutt for all those people who needed Catbutt in their life. Uh, see the first tournament. Yep, dies in the first novice tournament. That's correct. Going campy in Ely next weekend. Hope to pass by the. I don't. I'm not sure you'll go, but by the giant catfish. Yeah, yeah, Jerry. Because Ely did have the giant catfish. Sorry for a second there. I read Fish Demon, and I'm like, no, that's out in Green River, not in Ely. No, I don't cook anymore, Xerox. I mean, I do barbecue for family gatherings and stuff now, but I don't do cooking in the house. I stopped cooking for people when I got out of food and beverage. Three Skippy levels of hate. You need to condemn the whole world to burn and kill the loved ones of the MC. Nick is too stupid to kill anyone that is close to Gregory. Mm, if he was that stupid, he would kill people close to Gregory and then find out what happens. But at this point, we will have to wait and see what happens to the Nick in the future. If the troops make it through the Magi's troops that last the service to the Emperor, or will that be discussed in later books? I sorry, Outlaw. If the troops make it through the Magi's troops that last the service to the Emperor, or will they be discussed in? I I cannot parse. Please try again. That might be me. You don't have brothers. I do not have brothers. I have an older sister and a younger sister. So, but it's okay. I am still her favorite child. She hasn't said it. She might just call me her favorite son, but I know I'm actually her favorite child. It's fine. Hmm. Just gonna leave it there. First time message. Delete, delete. Oh, and bands. Look at that. Coming down hard. Oatmeal raisins leaves you with the literal taste of disappointment. They do. Oatmeal raisin. Disappointment in cookie form. girlfriend has not made fresh chocolate chip cookies in a while. I'm going to have to ask. I will have to specifically ask. It's been a long time. I really enjoy her chocolate chip cookies. Something about I eat too many of them. I think is what stopped the train. So now that it's been a while, I should be able to get back on train again. You got to play D&D with Andy and Hayes. That would have been televised. Yeah, no, didn't happen. I very much doubt either of them would let it be televised. I don't plan to ever live cast a D&D game. So Gamer Dame does online gaming. It would be interesting to post in the group to see if there's enough interest to do an online game. I mean, there probably is, honestly, but it also then the problem with me running a game for people is that it takes more time for me to prepare the game and then run the game, which is time away from things that could be writing. I run the game here because I run modules and it's for my friends and family and it's one of my away moments from writing. Um, like I said, doing a one-off for like fans or something, yeah, I might do that in the future, but it's not going to be anytime like short. Makes me wonder if you have notes on the spreadsheet like going to die soon or uh, too too fun to kill. No, actually, I don't. I do normally have a tag that says alive dead, and then I flip it. I make sure that they're dead, and that's highlighted through red to remind me that they're dead. Which matters if you have 462 characters in a series. What Linda character he will make you remember the red shirt Apocalypse Gates? I think he was in the second book. The court was not fun, but yes, it was still an honor to have a role. I mean, there are a couple people in AG who had very bad cameos. Very bad cameos. I still quasi-ish feel bad for maybe what I've done with their names. But at the same time, hey, congratulations, you're in the book. Parks or Jason, I feel, are like that moment, maybe either start the war, flamed in which mix things up, but Jason seems like the person to fix fights down the road because they're a little less full of themselves. I mean, there's a lot for the Eternal Flame to fuck up in the near future. So we'll have to wait and see what it really does. Does it bother you that TWI knocked you out of the champion slot for highest number of characters in a series? Do you think anyone would have more characters than you, honestly? Well, Shank, the Wandering Inn is a series that has gone longer than any of mine so far. Andy hasn't gotten caught up on the narration of all of them yet, of course. Um, and I haven't finished any of my epic sagas yet. So I would like to say me and TWI still have words to be had over that, honestly. If the Magi's troops make it through 10 years of service to the Emperor, what happens to them at the end of their service to the Magi? Um, the troops, they would be free to go on and do what they do or continue on in service if they wanted to. Kind of like most militaries, you give your service and then you can leave or continue. Did Joe Kuster's Lightfoot books 1 and 2? Did you help him with them? No, Joe's his own author. He's he's his own guy. I had no input in Lightfoot's in his books. I have no input in any of his series. I like Joe. I talk to Joe occasionally, but I don't really have input with anybody's books, honestly. Definitely the favorite because if they got it right the first time, they wouldn't have tried again. After they tried again because you were so awesome but couldn't get the same results and thus gave up. Favorite proven. I mean, I can see that. But honestly, I just say that I'm the favorite because I know that I'm the favorite, and it's okay. I like oatmeal cookies, but then you put raisins in them. Ooh, shudders. I mean, it's okay to like half the things that are terrible. Rocket, that's totally fine. Ah, get her! I get the plush. Get. Angry cat? Angry cat. Okay, down you go. You came within arm's reach. My comment about a group for gaming was not to have you run it, but just people of similar interest. A GURPS game in Binding Words group style. Um, I mean, if people want to create and run things, that's totally fine. As long as I have to defend my IP is the only problem. So as long as people aren't trying to make a profit off of it, I don't really care. As soon as people try to make a profit off of one of my intellectual properties, I have to defend it. Otherwise, I give up all rights to defend it. So, but I know there were people who were like, "Yeah, dude, I'm totally playing an AG game with my friends," and I'm like, "Cool, have fun." You mentioned the future in the Eternal Flame. Now I have to wonder if Nick's going to attempt something stupid. I mean, it it it's Nick. I would just expect stupidity because Nick. Uh, looks like I caught up to y'all, and we're about 2 hours in, so it's probably not that terrible. Thank you for doing this. Being allowed to be here. Thank you all. I'm gonna spend time with your mom. Uh, finish Defiance of the Fall 1 before I reread AR4, then dive into AR5. Well, Angry Town. Um, I hope you enjoy them. I mean, you said reread AR4, so obviously you've read it and enjoyed it, hopefully. I hope you like 5 when you get to it. For those people who don't know, most of my blurbs are recaps of previous book, so that might always help you kind of refresh what is coming up as well. Yeah, Ghosted and everything's good. So I hate writing blurbs. So I've found that a recap works as the blurb going in for the next book, which makes blurbs for book one my least favorite thing. So yeah. So thank you all for coming. I will end up finding out winners and then messaging them here on Discord. Or Discord. Wow, messaging them here on Twitch. Apparently my brain has died already. Yay me. Um, sometime before the end of the night, probably. So just check back tomorrow or so, see if you're one of the winners. It's the little chat bubble icon right next to Get Bits in the upper right hand corner of the browser of Twitch. Or if you're on the app, I'm not sure where it's at. I don't know. But do check back because I would like to get you guys your prizes if you're one of the winners. Okay. I will also be starting the conversion of this over to YouTube probably later tonight when the internet isn't going to be so heavily used in the house. So until then, guys, I will see you in June. If the world survives until then. I mean, I think that's something that needs to be said nowadays. So it's not politics. I just said if the world survives. I don't think viruses care what your politic is. It could be 2023. The sickening continues plus. I don't know. So until next month, guys, be safe because stupid people are everywhere. Bye.